All right. Haha. Machiwa. Greetings, brothers and sisters of that Christic light. Much respect to all of you coming in tonight. I'm so grateful to be able to have this community who are like-minded souls, starseeds, and indigos. It's an honor to walk this Christic path with all of you. And I'm truly grateful that we can have this opportunity to talk about something important when it comes to your spiritual awakening and your identity. And that would be the actual human origins. That is a whole other huge timeline, okay? That, or you could say history, but it's become a forbidden history, yes? So it is not forgotten because it is part of your DNA template. And the funny thing about DNA templates is that some of it can become dormant, which means the actual memory is not gone, but it's like temporarily out of your awareness. So there's people who are actually going on a spiritual journey and awakening their higher chakra. And while most systems don't connect this, but the Emerald Order Freedom Teachings talks about how the DNA strands, they're actually numbered. Like this is the 5th chakra. This is the 4th chakra. And these are connected to the 5th dimension, the 4th dimension. Every chakra, and think about what the Guardians call chakras. They call it Templar. So this is your 5th Templar, Vortex, Stargate, Opening, Gateway. Okay? This would be the gateway, the doorway to the 5th dimension, the doorway to the 4th dimension. But humans are in the 3rd dimension. So this is future timelines. Okay? So we are the goal is to ascend to higher dimensions, get out of this dimension, the 3rd dimension. And so that memory is, we're multidimensional beings. So while you may not have activated these Templar, these chakras, they still are in your dormant DNA. You have them. They're just not activated. And they became physically dormant when you birthed into the Earth system. Now, it also depends on your lineage, your bloodline, because some of the bloodlines are what you call Earth seeds. So Earth seeds naturally do not have the higher strands. That's the whole purpose of creating Earth seeds, which will be combined with the DNA of the star seeds. Earth seeds and star seeds are what create the original angelic DNA template. So we're creating the template kind of like from scratch on Earth system, creating the lower strands until we develop into the higher strands, or actually technically the middle strands, because it goes from 1 to 7 or 6. Those are the 7 Earthseed races. And so that's the goal, is to activate those in progression. And it's not normally done in one lifetime. This is usually done over several incarnations. Your higher consciousness, your soul consciousness projects itself into this earth plane. But it does that in 12 different pieces or fragments. So you can consider yourself one of the fragments of your soul, specifically one of 12. That's that divine number, by the way. The Guardians call 12 as we're supposed to be operating within a base 12 system. Notice how we're decimal, or we're base 10 system for a negative reason, purpose, okay? That's another topic, but anyways, realize that the chakras and our the higher chakras are our future identities, our future timelines, which you'll learn from these teachings that there's no such thing as time per se. Okay? It's simply frequency bandwidths, higher frequency bandwidth. So you would be traveling through frequency, not through time. So you're a frequency traveler, not a time traveler. Okay? So your soul is the higher, one of your higher consciousness that projected itself into the earth drama. And so, and to live the experience in the 3D, to learn its lessons and to move on. But the whole goal is, what we're really doing here as a race, we're recreating the bodies of the angelic human, recreating the DNA, the biologies of what we once were. So, and I'm going to go into that in more detail in tonight's topic of the angelic humans. And they actually have a name called the Turanesium. We have a name. Our race is called the Turanesium. And we exist originally in the fifth dimension, 5D. So we ascend to 4D and then we ascend to 5D. We returned back home, back to our source. So sometimes that's happening and sometimes it's not. Some people are not going on a spiritual journey, not expanding or activating the dormant DNA potential, which is required, okay, to go into spiritual ascension. You can say these chakras, Templar, are the keys to ascension, the keys to higher kingdoms, higher heavens, okay? So you can't go, for example, to the fifth dimension without having 5 strands of DNA, which is, 5 chakras. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need these 5 chakra to go to. Actually, technically, there's another aspect that your consciousness is always 1 dimension higher than your body, because we're not the body, we're the consciousness that indwelled, projected into the fetus of your pregnant mother and was birthed. You were birthed through this soul integration process or fetal integration process. And so if you want to go to 5D physically, you actually need 6 chakras, which would be your third eye, 1 step from your throat. So you would need to be physical, since your consciousness is 1 higher than the body, the consciousness that goes into the body is 1 level higher. So you need 6 strands if you want to go back to 5D. If you have, see, we're already 4th dimensional astral consciousness. The human race is in Tara. The morphogenetic crystal body is of the race, angelic human, the Turanesium, is in planet Tara, in the 5th dimension. So we are these, the ones that fell are in the 4D, going into the 3D bodies that we're creating in specifically Atlantis and Lemuria. Lemuria is the 2nd strand. And so Atlantis is Atlanteans, an Atlantean identity, and an Atlantean incarnation is the 3rd dimension. So those are the stages and steps of the angelic human until you go into the 4D, into the 5D, and finally into the 6D. Because something happens when you hit 60, you connect to the rest of the strands of the diamond sun DNA, it's called, 12-strand DNA template. So the 6 strands will plug into the rest of the 7. It's actually 5 strands. You get confused because the first DNA strand was created by 2 races. So the Hyperboreans and the Polarians created this strand of DNA. Your incarnations as a Polaran or Hyperborean, those 2 races, those 2 identities of yourself created strand 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 earth seeds. But it is the 7D consciousness that goes into the 6D body, like I just explained. So that's what happens when you finally hit 6 strands of DNA. You connect to the rest of your DNA. And so this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Basically, the forbidden history of where our true origins are. We did not come from apes. Okay? We did not come from pond scum. You understand that we're in spiritual warfare, and we have all these different extraterrestrial races, angelic, fallen angelic, fallen archangelic, fallen avatars. These are beings who are actually actively trying to, first of all, manipulate our DNA, stop our 5D ascension, or any type of ascension. They don't want you expanding or developing. They want you disempowered and not even remembering about your Templar, not remembering your origins in another planet where there was Atlantis and Lemuria. Okay? And it's very easy to understand that we are started in Tara and there was an Atlantis, Lemuria, and then there's 3 human seedings on Earth. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 Atlantises and 4 Lemuria timelines. And so the Guardians also spelled each one differently, and I'm going to show you that in tonight's lecture. The actual names, like Atlantis, would be called Alania, and another timeline. So, same with all the other Earth seeds. Like Lemurian would be called, they existed on Lumia versus Lemuria. So there's different spellings, and it's the same thing with the different spellings of the 3 different Jesus, Jeshua and Jeshua. Well, they're spelled differently, so you understand the difference between Jeshua 12 and Jeshua 9. So there's different spellings, but understand that there's literally different time periods of humans that we went through series of cataclysms and evacuations, either off planet or into the inner Earth, or what the SSP calls honeycomb Earth, because it's shaped, it's like cavernous, like a honeycomb. And so I thank you guys for being here tonight. Ooh, 44 people online right now. Take a look at that. That's one of our first synchronies. Machiwa, gratitude. And there's some other news to talk about. Just let me say hello to my beautiful twin flame, Julia. Hello, Giannis, beloved one. Me and Julia, we just got back from Sedona, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. But if you guys didn't know that I went to Sedona and wondering why I didn't do a live on Saturday, well, that is why. And I did talk about it several times before the weekend came. So when we were so busy, there was no way I could do a live while I was in Sedona. And me and Julia realized that, wow, we didn't take pictures of each other. But fortunately, other people were taking pictures, so we're in some of those pictures and videos. And of course, Julia filmed some of my lecture and my panel I was on. I was on 2 panels and I did 1 lecture. It's going to be the same thing in Las Vegas in October, you guys. So if you miss Sedona, I hope to see you guys. You got 3 months ahead to prepare for the Las Vegas conference alien event. So I hope to see you guys there. And it's a lot easier to deal with the airport and that location. And hey, if you're going to come to the conference, you're in Vegas, baby. You can do other stuff while you're there, right? So, yeah, you guys. So while I'm doing my incense, good to see you, Sir Madison, brother. Machiwa, man. So we have 2 moderators tonight. So, and we'll have some come and go. So, and that's okay. You like my charcoal discs? So, as you can see, I'm in good spirits. I'm in a good mood. But something pretty bad happened to me on my way to Sedona. I was in an accident. It was bad enough to lose my truck. It was not drivable, and it was determined that not even worth it, because your brother Enohazi, I'm struggling financially. I couldn't take care of that situation. like tow it somewhere or have someone pick it up or anything like that. I had to abandon it and just let it go. So this affects me. It makes life difficult, when you don't have a vehicle. If I want to go shopping because there's no stores near me, I have to get a ride, get a Lyft or a Uber or ask a friend, So it's frustrating because it also means I can't go to drum circles in Vegas or anywhere or do anything special like that. So just letting you guys know, every time you guys help me in donations or anything like that, it really makes a big difference in my life. It really helps me so much, you guys. So I'm just letting you know, please, I put the donation link at the very top of chat. So if you can help me out, anything helps. Anything helps. So I'm truly grateful for that, you guys. Bless you, and thank you for being here tonight. So besides the accident that I was in on the freeway, man, oh man, because of that problem, me and Julia had transportation problems, and so it wasn't cheap to have all these different Lyfts and Ubers. I wasn't expecting those expenses. I wasn't planning on those expenses. Plus, I had to buy a flight now to get back home. So anyways, the actual conference was wonderful. I'm so happy I went. So I met, the conference went well. My lecture went well. The panel was great. People's comments and, feedback was great. Plus me and Julia met a lot of other like-minded friends who were at the conference, speakers and attendees. I mean, we were getting along and sitting together. We would go to each other we would all be sitting at a restaurant or whatever before we went back home to our, hotel or whatever. So it was a great blessing. And plus Sedona is so beautiful, man. So amazing. I wouldn't get tired visiting Sedona. I wouldn't mind living in Sedona if there was ever an opportunity. Yes. So it was a hit, and it was just a warm up for me because it was my first time to speak at a conference. So it's basically warm up for a bigger venue coming up in October in Vegas. There's supposed to be several hundred people, maybe up to 1,000 by the time the event comes, according to the event coordinator, David, who runs Alien Events. So I'm looking forward to that. At least it's not so far from me and not such a big expense going to Vegas when I live an hour and a half away. So, but yeah, you guys. So I didn't see any of you guys there. So hopefully you'll make it to the Vegas conference. So me and Julia had a great time, and I forgot to mention, I didn't get a scratch on me. I was protected, and I'm truly grateful. Yeah. I was reaching for my glasses. I thought I had my glasses on. I'm truly grateful. Nothing happened to me. I hope the other person's okay. The other person's okay. I still don't know. I won't know probably until my insurance finally gets back a hold of me. So, but I am okay. Not a scratch on me. Nothing with my neck or back or anything. And it was a hard hit. And my truck, both of our vehicle, vehicle was totaled. Mine was pretty messed up enough, so it's not operable. I'm just wanted to express that gratitude to Source. Express it out there. It's out there, my gratitude. So, machiwa, you guys. This is why I always encourage you guys to always have protection, to always be mindful of it daily. I am mindful of protection daily, not just for those circumstances, but any circumstance, like, being attacked, energetically speaking. And so there was all kinds of weird things regarding time issues, and things were off this weekend. I don't know, actually the past week things have been off. So, write in the comments if things have been off for you, or maybe you've experienced some not so fun circumstances lately. Write it in the comments, guys. We'd love to share it with you. So, there's another thing I want to mention before I continue. It's It's our responsibility to mention it. I mean, we care, so we talk about it. Okay. So there is something tragic, something very sad happened with our brother Dr. Samuel Lee. He's fit, he's okay. But still he's in trouble. And so first of all, I'll say right now, I'm on Samuel Lee's side. I love the brother. He is definitely Christic, whatever people say about him. Because surely some people in our Christic community were judging him. That is not Christic, sister. But they're going to have people like that all the time. All the time, whether it's New Age or Christic communities, you're going to have people bad-mouthing other people in this Christic community. I'm not going to do that. So, and we don't know all the details. I'm just going to read some of the notes that I've found regarding the circumstances. So, instead of me trying to say something incorrectly, let me read to you. So, a woman named, out of respect, I won't name her name, you can find out on your own, died last year. So you know how long it takes courts to do anything? The government to do something. You give this to a corporation, a business, they're gonna do it fast. You leave something to the government to do, they're gonna snooze and take their time, and maybe years or decades. Decades is an exaggeration, but it can take years. Okay, some of us are in, some people can get, that I know are in court cases that are taken forever. So this was February 2025 where this woman died. She was 51 years old during what prosecutors describe as a heart protocol retreat in Miami Beach that was led by Dr. Samuel Lee. So it's definitely an accident. Samuel didn't do this intentionally. Just so you know, I'm not saying anything about his practices because I don't really know his practices. But I know what comes out of his mouth. You can see he has a whole history of content that you can look and see this person's mindset and intentions. Just saying. So, according to investigators, the protocol involved MDMA, ketamine, a parasite cleanse, and infrared sauna exposure. The medical examiner concluded that the combination of these factors led to the severe dehydration and critically low sodium levels causing her death. In July, which is last month, in 2026, prosecutors charged Dr. Lee with manslaughter in connection with her death. He's been charged, not prosecuted, he's been charged. He has pleaded not guilty and requested a jury trial. Regarding your question, he was arrested, but he is not currently incarcerated, awaiting trial. A judge allowed him to remain out on bond while imposing conditions including no practicing medicine, psychiatry, or psychology. while the criminal case is pending, surrender of all his passports. Additionally, the Texas Medical Board has temporarily suspended his medical license, stating that his continued practice posed a continuing threat to public welfare. This is a very serious legal situation, but it's important to distinguish between the allegations and what may be the outcome. At this point, he's been charged. He has pleaded not guilty. The case has not yet gone to trial, so there has been no conviction yet. And so, Dr. Samuel Lee has been well known in certain holistic, psychedelic assisted therapy and spiritual circles. So this case has understandably drawn a lot of attention. So until the court process concludes, many of the factual and legal questions will ultimately be decided through that process rather than through news reports alone. So we don't know all the details. The details will obviously come out to the public. The only thing I can say is I don't think it's responsible for Dr. Samuel Lee not to write anything about it personally. Like, I would think unless you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if he has done so, I don't see anything like that. I think it is responsibility to say something. That's all. Other than that, I'm behind Samuel Lee. I just think that he needs to say something about this publicly on his platforms, because otherwise he's going to leave it up to everyone else to come up with their own conclusions. And you can let people have their own conclusions. I'm just saying it would be very good for himself and the people who love and care about him to say something. Please, brother Samuel Lee, if you please say something to the public and defend yourself. We're going to defend you right there along with you in our voices, in our prayers, in our emotions, in our intentions, right there with you. I'm right there with you, brother. But please come out and talk about this publicly. At least a letter, a video, or something like that. An article, anything. So people have been writing to me and telling me about this. And so it's very sad. And we don't know that you can't, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it's very irresponsible to start accusing him, bad-mouthing him, judging him. And the same person who's judging him is also judging me. And I just want to say this to the public, because this person has a big, has some beef or some problems, and she's going to voice that problems. If you talk about, and first of all, the first red flag to me is when she calls it a drug. You get those people with their attitudes, that's a drug, it's a drug. Right there with that 3D vocabulary and mentality. Sounds like one of those religious mentalities as well. So, you can have your own opinions about cannabis or psilocybin, because that's the only two I've ever talked about. I don't talk about anything else. You want to crucify me because I talk about cannabis or psilocybin, that's your opinions. And so I want to say that, you guys, I state very clearly that it's not coming from the guardians, that it is my own personal experiences and opinions. And so I said, this is your brother Enuhazi's idea. Thank you very much. So, and I will still stand by that, because what other people say, even Speaker One may have said, not from the CDT plates, but from her own commentary, not a CDT plate teaching. I don't agree with that. What's that called? Not analysis, but diagnosis or I don't know the word. You probably know what I'm trying to say. I don't agree with that point of view because of my experiences. And I don't want to push this video topic, the main topic, tonight's topic. Let me quickly just say that psilocybin did godlike things to my memories of my Christos avatar, my Azurite. I saw Ashiana. I saw Jeshua. I saw John the Baptist. And I saw creation at several different density matters. I confirmed the teachings. I felt the most tremendous, extraordinary, fantastic love in psilocybin. It's not about the psilocybin, it's about the co-creation of this consciousness, this family of consciousness called psilocybin. I'm not going to speak so highly of cannabis, but certainly I will 100% tell you it creates breakthroughs in your awakening, your memory, and your DNA. I will stand by that, and I will continue to say the disclaimer, it's not coming from the teachings. And also, it's not on print, and it's not in any, as a teaching that there's, don't do it, or you can't ascend, or you're going to be blocked from your ascension, or blocked from your innerchristos, or blocked from unity, or anything like that? Okay, thank you. And blessings to Samuel Lee, and anybody can send him prayers, send him positive vibes, write to him. We love you, brother. You're acknowledged. Beautiful soul. I love you, Dr. Samuel Lee. Thank you. Thank you for everything you have done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me lay down this incense. And moderators, if anyone is being disrespectful in chat, silence them, please. We aren't having that anti-Christic frequencies. You can say your opinions, just don't start freaking bad-mouthing, okay? I mean, we do that anyways in our chat. We already do that. When someone starts being negative and judgmental like that, then yeah, we do that anyways. Oh man, I don't see my amber. Maybe, what? Let me grab my main amber. All right, I'm coming. Sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience. I got this big piece of dragon's blood. Check this out, man. Machua. I would have to... it's so hard. It's hard. I would need like a mortar and pestle, to break it down. Or drop it and pick up some pieces. But this is my main container. When I first bought amber, it was full of ambers. Now it's down to a couple pieces, or maybe just one piece. Yeah, a couple blocks left. So I don't know where it is right now, so I'm gonna do this. I really love to co-create with amber. And yeah, and you guys, you don't have to agree with everything I say. Oh, whoa, that's so strong. Ugh. Not bad. It's just so potent. Wow. Yeah, you don't have to agree with everything I say. But still, you still may come here because there's other things that you want to learn more about that you do agree with or do align with. And it's the same thing with Samuel Lee. It's the same thing with Ashiana Dean. There might be some things you don't agree with these teachings. And it doesn't make you right or wrong. Okay? Remember, we're all source. I'm God, you're God, we're all source. There's just, source has literally fragmented itself in all these different frequencies. And that's us. And this is a hologram experience. The rest of God's creation is not a hologram. This is. And this is where we can have distortion, where God can become distorted or fragmented and forgotten itself because God created this structure to be possible in there by giving it free will and seeing what happens with it. Like scientists do an experiment and put these two life forms together and see what happens with them, you know? So for whatever reason, the creation exists, and there's more than one system like this, 15-dimensional time matrix. So I want to go back to the topic, guys. So angelic humans is, you're an angelic human. We're all 12-strand angelic humans. This, in the 3D versus 5D, in the 3D, we look, I wouldn't say totally different, but we look very different than our angelic human selves. Not super different, but taller. Whoa! You're going to be looking up to your angelic human self, a giant. Would you not consider 14 feet tall a giant? The shorties are 10 feet tall. They say between 10 and 14 feet tall, like around this range. You're looking up, baby. What's up? Whoa. And they're perfect. You know, when they were originally created, they're operating within their divine blueprint. Okay? I guess you really can't say still perfect because there's still going to be some distortions in the second density universe. So, but biologically speaking, they're pretty close to their original divine blueprint because we were literally seated in the fifth dimension. Now, some of those angelic humans could have ascended to the sixth dimension, ascended out into the third universe of the seventh, eighth, and ninth dimensions, and continue on. So, but we were all seated, and our civilization exists in the fifth dimension of Tara. And so we have a whole record of that history starting in Voyagers 2. Okay? In the first chapter, on page 2, I think page 1 is just some index or something, but it starts right away, you guys, talking about the angelic humans. So this is part of all of our identity. Now, let me just make sure everything's okay. Machiwa Harrison Hicks, thank you, brother. Thank you so much for supporting me. He said, thanks, dude. Thank you, Holy One. Someone sent a donation. Thank you so much, bro. And anybody else, it's highly, highly welcome, truly, and needed. So let me see. Magi Celine, you're in Amsterdam? Oh, you're saying hello to Amsterdam. Well, the person I was talking about doesn't like Samuel Lee, so. But I like your comment, though. I think everyone likes Dr. Lee. I haven't met anyone who doesn't like him, so. There's always haters, man. There's always going to be someone who will badmouth someone else, right? That shows you their frequency. They expose themselves, man. Good to see you, Celine, sister. So I think Giannis is off now, but Celine's here for now. So thank you, sister, for being here. Yeah, it was just, when it was happening within those seconds, because I hit my brake and it took, so it was screeching for 5-6 seconds. And I literally closed my eyes, and I still, to this day, I don't know why I closed my eyes, but I knew I was going to hit. Maybe that's why. Some reason why. Because I couldn't stop. I knew it wasn't going to stop, and I knew I was going to hit that car. So I closed my eyes anyways, and I didn't know what was going to happen to my body. There was no time to think about my body. This is why I spend all this time, even before I started driving, I put that protection up. Thank you, Celine. So yeah, I did too, Star Child. I like, I care about Samuel Lee, so. Unless you meant you don't like him, but you said I do. So I'm assuming you said I do like him. Thank you so much for that feedback, TW9541. Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned the correlations they see between my teaching and Samuel Lee's teaching. Do you want to know why? And Lisa Renee? Because our source is the same, the Emerald Order Freedom Teachings. Notice I didn't say Ashiana Dean, but we're grateful for Ashiana Dean, but it's not all about her, it's not her teachings. This is the Emerald Order Freedom Teachings. That's coming from the 12th dimension. Ashiana's job was to translate that. It's not hers, it's not, but she copyrighted it, so. Anyways, bless her, I love her too, I'm not judging Ashiana. I met her and Michael Dean, thankfully, before he passed on. I also met Tammy and spoke to her on the phone and email. Machiwa. Yeah, I agree for sure, man. Right? Straight up. They can't take that away from them, no matter all the haters. And the freaking mainstream public, mainstream news is going to eat Dr. Samuel Lee up. Call him a kook. They're going to write all these freaking horrible articles, and you're going to see all these 3D freaking disgusting comments of all the haters when they have no idea what they're talking about. But that's the ongoing spiritual warfare playing out on Earth, turning Christic spiritual people against each other. So instead of fighting and defending the real problem in the spiritual war, we're fighting each other, we're judging each other. What the F, man? Okay, so you don't agree with the drugs, the plant medicines, you make fun of the plant medicines, and it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change all of his work. The bro has 2 million homies. That's what he wrote, and that's what he said one time. I heard him say he's got 2 million followers. So, and who cares? And people will be jealous that he's making money. This is the 3D people that are still dealing with the same problems and issues. Machiwa. And I was wearing these glasses, so they're a little bit messed up. See, that's not normal. But this is a $300 glasses. I can't afford to lose these glasses, and it's not even. See, but I'm not going to sit here and play with this and break it off when it's already fragile. I thought my face hit something, or was going to hit something. I mean, I could say I felt like 5% pressure in my head, but it went away within hours. I didn't feel nothing afterwards. So it must have been because but I don't even have anything in my neck or nothing. There was no damage to my steering wheel or to my windshield, but I must have hit something hard enough because I had two glasses. I had glasses on here and glasses on my face. And then the other one got broken. I can't use them anymore, but I got these ones, so hopefully it'll stay fixed, Stay, please. Yeah, Star Child. I understand. Me and both Julia feel that. Kind of like being targeted, when you shine a bright light, the ignorant and the dark will attack you. And a lot of these people are gleefully into black magic and sending spells and hatred towards people. You can imagine that's what happened to David Wilcock or whoever else involved in the awakening community. I mean, I can't say everything positive about that gentleman, but it doesn't matter. He was still someone who made a difference in the awakening on Earth. Yeah, man. So, you guys, just so you know that the angelic human are called the Turanesium, and they're from the 5th dimension, and we're in the 3rd. So this is a different planet, it's a different timeline, and it's a different DNA template. So we are fragments of that DNA. Thank you for your hearts, whoever's sending me those positive love and energy. Thank you so much. So we are originally a 12-strand DNA biology and consciousness. That is our true self in the 5th dimension. What we are experiencing here is sort of like a distorted version of that, like a fallen version of that, because of a cataclysm that happened in the 5th dimension, in their Atlantis, in Lemuria. Those cultures existed at the same time, even though the Lemurians came a few thousand years earlier. So this is part of part of our heritage in the higher dimensions. This is part of who we are. It is us who came back to Earth to create this rescue mission, because it may be complicated to understand at first, but let me just lay it on you real quickly. Basically, let me see if I have those. I have a few diagrams from our pictures from the lecture I did, and if I can find these pictures, let me see. Images, Christos avatar. I don't seem to see it. Well, it's not important. I wanted to show you some really cool graphics, but I don't have it with me. I don't want to waste your time on trying to find it. But just understand that the angelic humans, the human race that we see on Earth, we're not from Earth. We're ETs too, homie. Okay? We came to Earth, so we weren't created from the apes that are native to Earth. Okay? But that's what the evolutionary mainstream theory says. We're not from Homo sapien. We're not from Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal. Okay? Those were created after. Those are distortions of the original human on Earth. Not the missing link. Not what came, not a precursor. This is talked about in Voyagers, you guys. And I'll show you Voyagers on the screen. But before I go back to Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal, I want to first talk about, so I'll get there, but let's go in orders. Let's talk about Atlantis and Lemuria. So I'm going to go back and forth between Voyagers 2, Chapter 1, page 2. And you guys can, agree with that or, align with that or not. But that's what tonight's video is about, coming from the Airborne Order of Freedom teachings. We are a race of beings from the fifth dimension on planet Tara, which is another dimension, another timeline. And so there was cataclysm there. And because of the cataclysm, now let me just be specific. Not cataclysm of the entire planet. It's not like the whole planet was gone or destroyed. A portion of it, some of it fell. Some of that cataclysm fell into a lower, reverse, a spiral, sending it into like a black hole. Kind of like, that's what reverse a black hole is. It's reverse frequency, man, and going down into a lower state, a lower. You're spinning not backwards, not forwards. You're down instead of upwards, descending instead of ascending. So it's described as fragments of Tara, the actual continent or planet. The actual planet, pieces of it fell, but also consciousness fell. So when the body is utterly destroyed, the consciousness is displaced, or what you call without a body. What's that called? Without a body. Disembodied. Disembodied spirit. They became a disembodied spirit, and most people say the lower astral, you guys. That's what New Agers say. The Guardians say that there's disembodied consciousness in the 4D and the 3D and the 2D, not just astral. These are angelic human soul essences stuck in the hollow fields. We're in a hologram without a body. Disembodied spirits, disembodied Lemurians, disembodied Atlanteans. So we created this whole, the Guardians all the higher councils and the angelic humans created this whole Palladorian experiment. The Palladorians came to Earth millions of years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago. They don't say billions. Earth says, mainstream science says we're 4 billion years old, but that's not what the Guardians say. We created this hybridization project. That's not bad or evil. You're creating bodies for the soul essences that are disembodied to go into the fetal integration process, the soul integration process. Okay? And so they have that ability now to become in a body and start to go through the reincarnation process and develop strand a higher strand, like the Lemurians are trying to create strand 2. The Atlanteans were creating strand 3. The humans that exist now are called the Aryans. And then after the Aryans is the Muvarians, and after Muvarians is the Unchechi. So we do this from Hyperboreans, Polarians, Lemurians, okay, Atlanteans, Aryans, Muvarians, Unchechi. 7 races created on Earth to bring together to rescue the disembodied consciousness in this ascension process, so they can return back to the second universe, back to Tara. Imagine you are an angelic race, and density 2 is the angelic level. Imagine your angelic race. You're not going to leave anyone behind. Just like in war, soldiers, you don't want to leave no soldiers behind. You will spend time and resources to help your fallen brethren, your lost, the ones that got separate. Same with the Guardians. They're not going to just sit and let all those freaking consciousness sit there in the lost and disembodied state. Can you imagine being a fragmented consciousness? You're going to be so confused, you're not going to know what the F is going on. So let me bring that up in Voyagers. I'm in Voyagers now, so let me share the screen with you guys. Let me just double check. Celine! Thank you, sister. Thank you so much for assisting your brother. Thank you for that exchange of energy. It's much needed. Thank you, Celine. Bless you. Yes, Machiwa. She says, love you, brother. I love you too, Celine. So happy I met you in person. It makes a huge difference, right? Georgina, thank you, Star Sister, one of our other moderators. Thank you so much for your assistance. She says, Machiwa family, so happy to be here with you all. Yes, sister! Woohoo! Thank you, sisters, both of you. And Harrison Hicks. So, and I will double check for questions. I usually have to... Whoa, where's Discord? Oh, there's Discord. Yeah, it looks like my dear fiance wrote some comments there. Let me see. Tuesday, July 6th. No, that's not Tuesday, July 6th. Tuesday, today. I sent you my letter as promised. Never got acknowledgement, brother. I know you're busy. Oh, wow. Yeah, I will catch up. But today, this is part of the whole drama playing out. I was gone the whole weekend. From Thursday, packing and getting ready to leave early in the morning on Friday. So I was gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I was on travel. And so and when I got back yesterday evening, there was no freaking internet. I was getting notifications while I was traveling. I'm like, oh, the internet service provider said there's issues going on and they're working hard to get it fixed. Dude, it didn't get fixed. Well, I don't know when it got fixed. I was getting notifications this morning too. So it didn't get fixed like they say they were going to fix. So I haven't had internet either. I haven't had time and I haven't had internet. I will get to your letter. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. I've been going through a lot. So is Julia. We've been through a lot. But especially when someone writes me a whole book. You guys know I work 100 hours a week. I work. And sometimes it's very difficult if I have to read an entire book. But I will. So let me share the screen with you guys for the Voyager's books. So this is Voyagers 2, translated by Asha Nadine. She's translating the CDT plates to create this Voyager's book. She's the translator, not the author. So, like I said, we'll go to page 2. Origins, 560 million years ago. Yes, that's how old we are. That's how ancient we are. See, we weren't created from apes, from the Neanderthal or the Homo sapiens or whatever they want to call it. Cro-Magnons or whatever. We're not part of that. Okay? And notice that in our mainstream science and history or archaeology or whatever, they say we're only the most ancient culture as Sumer. BS. There is so much evidence to the contrary. But then, you have this whole narrative being manipulated and controlled. And billions of humans just swallow and accept the mainstream science. Oh, they're the historians, they're the scientists, they know better. And then they don't believe that there's conspiracies or any type of cover-ups or dark agendas. They think that's all fairy tale and fiction, and that you need to get your head checked out if you believe in those things. Oh, really? You see, there's so many people at different levels of consciousness. Not everyone's awakening. Not everyone's ascending. Not everyone's working on their Templar or their light body or their consciousness or anything like that. A lot of people are just in the 3D, into the 5 senses. That's their limited experience. But they're much, much more, even if they don't know it. And while we can call them 3D, they're not really just 3D, are they? They're just like everything else. They have dormant DNA, and they are a 12-strand diamond sun human, angelic human, Ternesium. And also, everything in the universe and the cosmos is an ascended master, what we call a Brenoa, or no, that's not Brenoa, Janus or Ayani. Well, the Ayani is related to the indigos, but anyways, all of the beings in the they call it the primal light fields or the Kirashe or Kunare, sorry, are Janus. And so this is why we're all part of the same. We're all part of the unified field of what is God. It's just that God, with God's will, was to create all these different frequency levels of itself. All these different frequency levels, everyone's at their own level of awareness and understanding. But at the end of the day, you know everything. You are everything. You are omnipresent. You are omnipotent. You are God, sovereign, free. At the end of the day. But in your temporary experience here, there's a part of you, a fragment of you, who became an avatar collective, who projected all of these identities. Specifically, 1,728 other identities. Now, there's many belief systems, bless all of them, who believe or talk about or teach that this is reincarnation or this is, no, I wouldn't say that word, but they would say this is where you live one life and then you die and then become another life. It doesn't work that way. That's not what's happening. Okay? Creation is in a series of different frequency bandwidths. This is a bandwidth. This is a bandwidth. This is a bandwidth. A bandwidth. It's made of a whole bunch of frequency bandwidths. Let me show you in Cathara, Biospiritual Healing. So let me pull up that PDF. Yeah, okay. Open Cathara. And we'll hunt this diagram down together. Let me see through here. What's the deal with this? Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find, it's a diagram. Oh, actually, there's a tool in organize, in organize pages. I can see all the pages. So let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay. It'll help me find it a lot faster. This is the Voyager's books. It has a lot of diagrams in it. And I might be looking for this one. Yeah, basically, this is good enough. So, this is, well, I could also be using my diagram. Let's see if I can open that up. Wait, open recent, menu, open recent files. There's my diagram. Okay. So I have these tools to help you explain this principle. So, in the 15-dimensional time matrix, okay, it has 15 different frequency bandwidths. That's what a dimension is. It's the frequency bandwidth. And even in the Kathara, in this workshop, they break down what is a dimension. But back to this, when you see all these dimensions, one dimension is made of so this is, let's say, the third dimension. The third dimension is one frequency bandwidth, but it has a spectrum in that bandwidth. You know, it's called a bandwidth, a spectrum. So there's 12 substrands, subharmonics, subfrequencies of one frequency. So there's frequencies. These are all frequencies, but they each have 12 subfrequencies. You could say 12 timelines. So when we go back to this one, SFB stands for, well, it says right here, subfrequency bands. So each dimension, well, there's a harmonic universe, and each one has 3 dimensions, and which is a frequency bandwidth. Each of those dimension frequencies have 12 subfrequencies. So you have 12 subfrequencies in the third, 12 subfrequencies in the second, and the first. That's 36 subfrequencies that you will have incarnated into simultaneously, by the way. These are each in different time vectors. You're not going to run into your other selves because they're in a different subfrequency band. You don't see them, and they don't see you, but they both exist simultaneously, just like radio stations in the air. They all exist in the same space, but they're experienced. You know, you turn your radio to a certain frequency to get there, to experience that frequency. So we have H stands for harmonic universe 1. Harmonic. They made an error right here. This is a typo. This should be 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think Ashiana talked about that typo in the Kathara workshop. But anyways, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is out of order. This needs to be right up here. But anyways, you have dimensions 1 through 12, or 15 actually, and then you have, that means all of those have, if you calculate all of those, it's 180 subfrequency bands. So this is a spiritual science, man, and you're not going to get this information from anywhere else. This is pretty complex data. But let's go back to Voyagers. 560 million years ago on the planet Tara. Let me get my selectable cursor. In the second harmonic universe, your Earth is presently in the first universe. But this is happening in the second universe. That's what I was explaining. And it doesn't say right here, but in later, in other parts, you'll see it's in the 5th dimension. Many ET and metaterrestrial races. I'll show you what the metaterrestrials are. These 3 are the metaterrestrials. The Elohai Blue Flame Collective, the Seraphai Gold Flame Collective, and the Braharama Violet Flame Collective. And I put an indication that they're called metaterrestrials, D13 through 15. versus all the other dimensions 1 through 12 that are called extraterrestrials. Okay, so that's what you can call it a density universe, or you can call it harmonic universe. They mean the same thing when they call it the second harmonic universe. Your Earth is in the first harmonic universe, and notice I did put that in this universe. Your Earth, and the second universe. I don't know why it's doing that weird shit. In this one, you're in the second universe. On Tara. This is Tara. So just like you're ascending, going through, that is bothering me. Just as you go through ascension as an individual, the planet goes through ascension. And it goes through, Earth will ascend into what's called Tara. Tara will ascend into Gaia. Gaia will ascend into Aramatena. These are different matter densities. So Earth is carbon matter, Tara is carbon crystal matter, and Gaia is crystal matter, so no carbon. And then the carbon turns into crystal liquid, which is considered by the Guardians pre-matter. And then you got thermoplasmic antimatter, which is crystal, like a vapor. So I'm going to close, let me first turn off the PDF and then reopen it and see if that problem will go away, because we're going to be using it a lot tonight, I think. So Voyagers, or maybe it's just my diagram, right, that will do that, but it shouldn't. Didn't do it before. Cathara. See, okay, now I'll switch back and see if you see the same thing. Yeah, this doesn't have a problem if I'm moving around it, but now let's pull up my diagram. I don't know, I don't see it happening now or any. That's good, right? So, okay. I'm not trying to select anything. Hey. All right. So this is where humans are currently exist in the. I mean, this is where you could say prototype human, but it's not really a prototype. This is a race that existed for, 560 million years ago. And so, but this is what the original human is. And so now this is, and on planet Tara, this will give you kind of like an idea of the time frame. Like you see these years here in our universe, 13,000 BC, 4,000 BC, a long time ago. But then it ends around 4230 AD. So, but 4230 AD all the way to 13,000 BC is a 26,556 year cycle. So, but the cycles are twice as fast in the second universe. So you go a lot faster, a lot farther, all the way up to the 50,000 plus AD. And that's, so you could say 5D, this is around 5D, 39,000 AD. So Tara is like, oh, it's doing that thing again, almost. Tara is around this period of timeline. Can you imagine their technology, their consciousness, their body forms? They're so much more evolved than we are on the Earth, and we are limited with only 3 strands versus 12-strand diamond sun. So, our story, the human being story, started in Tara, in the 5th dimension, around 39,000 AD. Okay? We're not from apes. We were seeded here by other advanced extraterrestrials, as you saw in Voyagers on page 2. I guess I'll just go to page 2. So many metaterrestrials, I showed you what metaterrestrials are, from the 4th and 5th harmonic or density universes, were the founders of this project. And they were working with a seed race. That means whenever something's called a seed race, they're going to use, they create it specifically to help them create other races. They get the DNA they want in this race called the Lyrans. Now, I don't know why they call it the Lyrans when it's actually called Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. But they abbreviated it and just called it Lyrans. But just so you guys know, the full name, as in my diagram, is Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. So they're abbreviated it to just call it Lyrans. But this is a feline race. They're called Syrian whites because they are white. Actually, give me a moment and I'll show you. And I will also be showing angelic humans anyways. And some of you have already seen my videos about the angelic humans. But it adds a little bit of flavor when we can actually show them. Gallery, and we're looking for Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. And the reason why they're called that, because their planet was destroyed. So the Lyrans had to move from their original Lyran planet to the Sirian planet and star system. So when this race that are Lyrans start, mixing with Syrians, well, now this race, our race, is Lyran Sirian. And the felines are called Anuhazi. So Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. So, and it's true that most of the races they describe in detail, but this specific race, they just call them tall whites. And I heard Ashiana speak on it verbally like they were considered the elders. She also went on to say that they were the first hominids, humanoids, the first ones to be like this. Arms, legs, eyes, ears, humanoids or hominids. They were according to her and the Guardians, they were the first. I mean, you don't see it in Voyagers say that, but you see her talk about that. So, but they're called the tall whites. So I imagine they're tall. I don't know how tall, but they obviously are feline, and and I saw that too in Voyagers 1. They are feline. They're the tall whites. They're in this third etheric universe, ghost-like. So they don't look too ghost-like in my picture. Whoa, did I put it on her? Are you guys seeing me? Yeah, okay. I will be putting it on Photoshop. Let me open Photoshop. So glad you guys are here with me. Thank you very much. And then I'll turn these images to open in Photoshop. So, okay. Now I can switch to Photoshop. Okay, so this is my portrayal of the Lyran. Why can't I? Okay. It's not letting me zoom in. What's the deal? Oh, I guess I got to do it this way. All right, so this is a Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. And so this is the beings that were just mentioned in the PDF, the Voyagers PDF. A guardian race. They're the seed race that created other races. Remember what I said? The Guardians themselves are calling this a seed race. These are my most recent images of this portrayal. I have some older artwork. Like this is an older artwork. Lyran, Sirian, Anuhazi. the seed race that helped to create the angelic human. So let me go back. I just wanted to show you what they may have looked like. So now, wait, how I guess I got to close these other windows. What's the deal? How am I looking at this diagram if it's, oh, it's open in PDF. Okay, shit. Okay, I forgot I opened in PDF. I was using PDF at the Sedona, lecture I was giving. So now I'm used to doing this in PDF, but it creates that white weird artifact sometimes. Anyways, so I don't know why I'm right here, but it was the Lyran Syrian Anuhazi from this level, the third universe, who created the Elohim. So this seed race created the Elohim, and they created in the second universe, they created the Syrian Council, and they created the Oraphim. And this is all to help create the humans, Turniciums. Oh, also the Maharaji were also, it's doing that thing again, I don't know why. Also the Maharaji were also helped in this, and so did the Azarites. So we have these beings were created through the seed race of the Oraphim, if you look deeper into Voyagers. So we got these races involved, Azarites, Maharaji, I know the Pleiadians were involved, and the Oraphim and the Syrian Council. So let's go back to the actual text. So the Lyrans from the third universe, that was the seed race. And the Lyran Syrian Anuhazi created a race of beings also in Harmonic Universe 3 called the Elohim. Now, this is one of the races they don't describe at all. As you can see, they don't tell us what they look like. Later in Voyagers, they'll tell you what this looks like, but not the Elohim. So I basically had a guess, and I understand that they're from Sirius B. And so the Syrians, a lot of the races on Sirius have blue skin and elongated heads. So we'll show that, the Elohim. Because this is part of tonight's topic. This is part of a huge part of the you could say the story of the time matrix. Because while we're not the center of the universe or the most powerful race, we're very significant because we're created as the guardians that were not replacing, but kind of like becoming the new guard of the Azarites. So the Azarites now are passing the torch to the angelic human, but that service has kind of been disrupted, off balance, because of fallen angelic influence. That's why there was cataclysm in Tara, in Atlantis and Lemuria, because of fallen angelic, malevolent ET interference, what the Guardians will call or describe as interior. Whoa. What the heck? I'm getting some battery problem, but it's plugged in. 20% left. You guys, let me unplug this and then plug it back in. I don't need no problem with that. You're gonna see the camera shake. And yeah, I've been having problems with this, man, along with my trip. Now, this problem's been happening for a few weeks, where my battery doesn't charge like it used to. I'm trying different cables. It doesn't matter what outlet I put it in. it doesn't charge. Sometimes it won't charge. I gotta mess with it and mess with it to get it to charge, and then it doesn't charge fully. OMG, man. It's like, what's going on, right? Anyways, where are we here? It interrupted me, but we got... the Lyrans, and they created the Elohim, and I will show you the Elohim. What I should do, I was trying to get my lecture in front of me and sharing it with you. I didn't have time to set it up, so I had to hunt down those pictures. So, but they're right here. The folders are here. So let me pull up the Elohim. And for some reason, I didn't do this recently. This is old artwork. So sorry for the so-so artwork, but this is what I came up, my portrayal of the Elohim in the third density, not the Anu Elohim, not the same race. Just to make clear. So a Syrian race and an archangelic race, third density is archangelic, oversoul. And so the Lyran, Syrian, Anuhazi created this race. I already closed all the Lyran Syrians. Yeah, this is an older AI platform that did this, so they're so-so, but it's good enough to give you some idea of the Lyran, Syrian, Anuhazi. Oh, no, of the Elohim created by the Lyran, Syrian, Anuhazi. So, and then they said that they also created in the text. So let me go back to that, you guys, the PDF. They created the Elohim. So the Lyran, Syrian, Anuhazi, let me put these in highlights. Turn it to green. And the Elohim, who would become overseers of the Syrian races, not just the human race, angelic humans, but the Syrian races in Harmonic Universe 2. So not like authoritarian, but as guardianship type of relation. We're not controlling and bossing around other races, okay? So when they say overseer, it's not a negative connotation. It's more like parental, helping, facilitating us, not going against our free will or the angelic human free will. Okay, so the Lyrans, the Elohims, and that of the Syrian races in Harmonic Universe 2, the Elohim became one of the numerous supervisor groups within the Tyrannium 2 experiment due to their Syrian race contribution of genetic identity to the experiment. Okay? The Tyrannium, that's us, hello, evolved for about 8 million years on Tara, with 12 primal subrace divisions among them. Kind of like, let me see. Kind of like we have Asians, Hispanic, black, white, brown skin races, subdivisions. The same race. We are all the same race, but with different, DNA that would turn on brown skin versus white skin or whatever. But when you really think about it, these are coming from the starseed races, different starseed races from different worlds, different planets. So they each have different skin tones. And they put them into the earth seeds, these different subdivisions. But not as in conflict, but as in variety. These are a variety of what makes us the human race, the Tyrannium angelic humans. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, so we'll turn that PDF back on. And they even list those subdivisions. But they honestly, you guys, they never talk about these in detail. I haven't heard a workshop either where Ashiana mentions this. The Brahman, Duraman, I probably butchered that one. Duraman, Atoni, Trinitan, Azertan, and I believe Speaker 1 started calling himself Azertan. I'm sorry, I meant Speaker 2, Michael Dean. Celtos, Adami, Uterans. And if you want my opinion, it's just my opinion. I think this is probably you, which is the Asian. So your Terans is probably where we get the Asian aspect or appearances. That's the only one I can really guess on. The Luri, Ceres, which is suspicious to me as being connected to Ceres, but those are bird people, so I don't, And then there's Nazaktai and Melchizedeks. It's spelled different than Melchizedek. So those would be sub-races of the race. And actually, the Voyagers uses that terminology when it comes to the breakdown of a race. You have race that's broken down into sub-races, that's broken down into families. And we'll probably cover that too tonight. So this is on Tara. Remember, this is in the 5th dimension of Tara, not Earth yet. So these would be a variety of different looking angelic humans. Okay, a variety. And so, thank you for those hearts, Holy One, who's ever doing that. Thank you very much. So with that being said, and just because it's part of this video, I will show you my depiction or portrayal of the angelic humans. It's possible that they were 6 fingers and 6 toes. I just don't see that in Voyagers, but my memory might remember Ashiana saying that, but don't quote me on that. I didn't put it in my depiction either, so because I wasn't sure, and I'd rather be not including something that doesn't belong there. So, angelic human. So you would have the same type of skin variations as we have. That's where we're getting our skin variations from the starseed angelic humans. And so I actually made some pictures. Let me go to that for you guys in Photoshop. Angelic human, white skin, the white skin angelic humans. And I made them like this, not to be sexy or anything. I'm just trying to show that, just like I showed with the Samyasi Anunnaki, they're more in tune with their divine blueprint. They're gonna look more beautiful, I guess, you could say, or their form is going to be more perfected compared to our distorted versions of these original bodies. So they're more ideal. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So they would have on Tara these 14 feet tall, 10 to 14 feet tall, different skin tones. And they're gonna look alien, not exactly like us. You're gonna see some changes and some differences. Obviously, I put in the elongated skull. And so let me continue with the native. I'm trying to find the best one. This would be a native version. We have we have all kinds of Native American races, from Apache, Navajo, Zuni, Shawnee, There's all kinds of Native Americans. There's definitely natives. I don't mean they're going to live like our Native Americans and hunt and eat meat. We didn't eat meat. We were breatharians. But they still do give birth, and they still do have gender. And they're obviously idealized and different on the internal side because they were breatharians. They didn't eat food. And just so you ladies know, the women did not have to give birth out of the vaginal, they were actually, it wasn't vaginal birth, it was more like a kangaroo, where it was like a pouch on the belly. So it was externalized. It wasn't internalized birth process, which was a lot better, right? I can say. So I just went along and created these idealized portrayals of the different skin tones. And this would be, we consider the Native Americans like a reddish skin tone. And of course, we're going to have a dark black, skin tone, just like we have. Okay, so people talk smack and have racist ideals in this world, but let them. That's their level of consciousness. Okay? And I did make videos of these. If you want to see them walking and talking and moving around, check out my channel. I've made over 1,500 videos. There's a lot of content like this. What else? The Asian, of course, the Asian as well. Angelic humans, beautiful race. We're a beautiful race, you guys. It doesn't matter if we're fat or skinny or whatever you think of yourself, if you're ugly or not. It doesn't matter. We're all part of the same race and the same identity, the same source. We were created by the Lyran, Syrian, and Ohazi, with the help of the Elohim, the Syrian Council, and the Oraphim. And actually, I didn't show you the Oraphim, did I? But let me finish. Well, I guess I am finished. Let me show you the Oraphim. 1 second. That's not too far behind. Oraphim, which are feline avians. And this is one of the races that they described in complete detail the most. They even described their white feline slit pupils. They also mentioned that they had white eyelashes. They also mentioned they had feathers on their head. So you're going to see bird features and feline features. And there's actually, I didn't show it. I don't have pictures of them, but they do have 5 different Oraphim. Not just feline. Actually, let me do that for you guys. Let me see if we can find that. White, let me see, white eyelashes. Yeah. I knew it said eyelashes, so I just put in eyelashes to find it. Look how detailed they are, man. Holy cow, I was wrong. It's 12 to 20 feet tall. No, this is the Oraphim. Never mind. The Oraphim are obviously taller than the angelic humans that they created. So the original Lyran, Syrian, Pleiadian Oraphim prototype is a thin. Notice I didn't make them muscular and stuff. Wait, I did turn on PDF, right? Yeah. A thin, 20 to 12 feet tall, androgynous, feline, avian, human, land, water, mammal, breatharian. That means they does not eat. Instead, it draws nourishment directly from the atmosphere in which it is placed. The original Oraphim have translucent I couldn't really do translucent skin and then the AI art. I guess I could try on my next upgrade of my next portrayals, but they could have deep tan skin or powder white skin to even pale blue skin. So there's like 3 different color variations in the aura theme with elongated heads. Thank you very much. They're petite and childlike facial features. Oh yes, I was thinking of the aura theme who have 6 fingers and toes. So the aura theme have 6 fingers and toes, no ears or small cat-like ears, elf ears, on the side of the head. Some have cat-like lips and with a split in the upper lip. And a feline nose. Others, because not all of them, others have small, thin lips with a mild downward dip in the upper lip that resembles the shape of a tiny bird beak, with a petite human childlike nose. Some Oraphim have pure white head hair, resembling long, soft. You see, what I'm trying to say is not my imagination. And yes, they did have. Some of them had. Some of them were bald. Some have soft, white feathered skulls. All of them have hairless bodies and large, slanted, almond-shaped eyes of either gold, electric blue, or violet hue, with pure white, vertical pupils, thin eyelids with fine white eyelashes. You see what I'm saying? I didn't make it up. And so, let me put that back. And check in. Machiwa. I'm checking in on those who are supporting my channel, sponsoring my channel. You guys who are donating are sponsoring my channel. Thank you so much. Georgina! Oh yeah, we were hoping to see you, dear. It's okay. It's okay. She said, sorry I missed you in Sedona, but we'll see you in LV, Las Vegas, in a few months for sure. Thank you, Gina, so much for your wonderful support. You really are, a great supporter of my channel. And you've been around for a while and I met you in person. It was a great honor to meet you in person. You're a very wonderful, kind person. You're very generous. You are generous. So thank you so much for that exchange of energy, sister. Much love to you. Much respect to you, Gina. Yes. And Tamara. Thank you, Tamara. Blessings, sister. So much. It means so much, you guys. For all of you latecomers, I crashed my truck. I was in a car accident on Friday. Wow, what was Friday's date? Let me look at this date. I haven't thought about that. It wasn't the 13th, was it? It was the 17th. Around 3 p.m. I don't know the exact minute, sorry. For all of you numerologists. Thank you, Tamara, for that exchange of energy. Much respect to you. They didn't write a note, but that's okay. Thank you. Woo! Yes! And I'll check for questions from our beautiful Giannis. Oh, Celine, maybe I'll check Instagram. What? Why is it saying... Oh, he did make a statement. Thank you for sharing, Julia. And I did ask if anyone knows if he made a statement. Please notify me. And Julia notified me. My heart, let me read what Samuel Lee shared. My heart is with the family and with everyone who loved her. I extend my deepest and most sincere condolences for their loss. And I ask that your prayers and care go first to them. Out of respect for the family and for the legal process, and on the advice of my attorneys, I will not be commenting on the details of this case now or in the days ahead. To those who have reached out with support, thank you. I felt it and I'm grateful, and I have faith in the process, and when it is appropriate to say more, I will. With gratitude, Samuel. And that's exactly what I would believe he would do, and he did. For all those haters out there, this brother is a true guardian. The years of work speaks for itself. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Samuel Lee. And I already talked about that situation, so please watch the video earlier. And this is what's really sad and disgusting to me, is when you go to Google and search for this, our brother. What comes up first now? All this horrible, disgusting stuff. Of course. That's what all this, that's what 3D does. It focuses on that. As if there was nothing positive about this, this family and this person. This guardian. So, thank you, Julia. All right. So, check in on chat. Thank you, Giannis. Good to see you, Alfantano. Targeted individual, I would say. Indigo Gal in the house. Thank you guys for being here. Gina Setton. Christy Campbell's in the house. What's up, sister? Woohoo, Christy. Good to see you, sister. We got to do another interview. Yeah? I know she will definitely want to do another interview. We got to do another interview, sister. You guys got to check out Christy Campbell's work. Bless her and her experience. She has a lot to share. And she's a guardian too. She talked about her origins and her connections, and it is freaking beautiful. Right? It fits right in with this crew. Yeah? What's up? Good to see you, powerful guardian there. Thank you for your bravery, Christy, and for sharing your story. Machiwa. And you guys, like I told you, me and Julia met a lot of powerful, beautiful family in Sedona. I mean family as in galactic family. And so there's already several people that we're going to be doing interviews with. So since I haven't had time to even adjust and unpack my entire suitcase, and dealing with the fact that I don't have a vehicle anymore, and I live 4 miles away from a grocery store. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm just getting settled in, but I will be setting up these interviews as quick as I can. Because there's a few of them that wanted to interview me. Like maybe some of you know Arcturus Raw, our brother. Amazing brother and his, I believe they're married, his wife, yes. We got to sit down in person. They even gave us a ride back to our Airbnb, which is, distant, which was costing me $30 at a time. So I'm glad that he gave me a ride. He gave us a ride. So And we got to eat dinner with him and some of the others that were at the speakers and attendees. So it was a close, intimate conference. But some of those are the best when you can really talk to people who you want to. Mike Barra from Ancient Aliens was there. We got to meet that brother. And Brett was. Oh my goodness. It says disconnected, reconnecting. Hello. Reconnected successfully. Just so you guys know, maybe you saw it glitch or it lagged. Apparently it got disconnected and then reconnected. So let me just refresh, okay? And also check the internet speed, because my internet service provider has had issues in the past 24 hours. Maybe they're still dealing with some kinks. Oh, I want to do a quick speed test. Dude, 140 megabytes. I don't know why I disconnected. But I'm here. Hello, guys. Okay. Oh, wait. Wow. It's already 9? Holy cow, you guys. Okay, guys, stay with me for 10 more minutes. Stay with me for 10 more minutes, and I will rush through this. I'm sorry. I kind of started late, but yeah, I'm back. Popcorn. Anyways, yeah, I sold crystals, and I'm gonna have to start selling them again because of the situation I'm in. I need to save up like $5,000 for a reliable vehicle. So yeah, crazy glitch, right? We're back on though. So you guys, I don't want to keep you up too late, but for just so you know, I'm gonna go through a lot of this history. You guys can stay as long as you can, okay? I understand if you have to leave, but there's still 67 of us online, so let's do this. Let's rock it. All right, so all of the higher density beings got together to create the angelic human race. They created a seed race first, the Lyran, Syrian, and Ohazi. They were a seed race that created the Elohim. And I believe in part of the book you can find out all the things that they created. The Elohim, which was the overseers of the Syrians and the Syrian council. And then they created I believe through this lineage, they were also able to create the Azarites and the blue human Malharaji. And then the Oraphim. And then it was the Oraphim who directly created us. So those avian bird beings, tall, up to 20 feet tall, they're the ones who created us. Okay, we weren't created by the reptilians. We weren't created by the Anunnaki. And when you understand these teachings and how the blue flame races come out of Anu or Anuhazi, and the gold flame races come out of the bird people, Ceres, or the insectoid races like the Athean or the reptilians, dinoids. Okay? So the reptilians didn't create us. That's a whole different bloodline. The Anunnaki are part of our Elohim, Elohai bloodlines, but they did not create us. We were created by the Anuhazi line. They were created by the Anu line. We're not the Anu line. We're like cousins, but they didn't create us. We're actually higher than the Anunnaki. We're 12 strand, they're 10 strand. Okay? So they created the angelic human race. Okay, even if you don't agree with all of the Syrian Enuhazi or the Elohim and the Oraphim, you know that we're created in a higher density originally. Okay, I showed you pictures, I give you descriptions, and they got along for 10 million years. No fighting, living within the sacred universal law of one, treating they had all the same, skin tones. They got along. They didn't care about skin tones. They don't see the superficial. All right? And so they got along for 10 million years. But because of the influences, remember, I have to speed this up, but this is all in Voyagers, starting from page 2. So for 2 million, and we gave you the PDFs. We give you the free PDF of this, so you can download it and study it. So they created after they started to fight. And because of the influence of the Anunnaki, specifically the Syrian Anunnaki. And if I had time, I would show you all the pictures, but you guys can simply check out my recent videos, because I made one about the Syrian Anunnaki. They came in Atlantis, but I didn't mention Antara, though. So let me switch back to the PDF real quick. Page 2. The race began to digress, their genetic code breaking down and their cultures falling into disharmony. And that was because you'll see in later... Well, actually, that's not related yet. They haven't mentioned the Syrian Anunnaki yet, so we kind of I guess we digressed by our own merits. and their cultures falling into disharmony. Manipulation. Oh, there was manipulation. Never mind, I take it back. By and interbreeding with various unrelated ET strains was the primary cause of this digression. So about 8 million years into their evolution, the Turnesian race divided into 2 primary race strains. Remember, I told you they spell them a little bit differently, so you know that there's different ones. The Alanians and the Lumians. Alanians and Lumians. These 2 strands evolved together on one large landmass called Eden. You see how the fallen angelics use our own terms and identities to create reverse identities and agendas. So there really is an Eden, but it's not like what you think. So this Eden was divided up into 2 cultures called Alania and Lumia instead of Atlantis and Lemuria. And the cultures evolved on Tara for 1 million years, and both carried the original 12-strand genetic code. So they still are okay. They're not totally distorted yet. But they both had mutations and digressions of the code from the other interstellar breeding, though. So they started to digress. So cultural disturbances escalated along with the continued digression of the Alanian and Lumian strains, and hostility arose, and the Atlanteans sought dominion over the more passive Lumian culture. So basically, since there's not much time, but they do mention the Council of Mu, the continent of Mu, which is where the Lemurians moved to. I'm sitting here trying to go back to the camera, guys. Okay. So it's faster for me just to break it down. So these Lumians, these Alanians, it was the ones who became more corrupt were the Atlanteans, who hated that the Lemurians were still following the sacred universal law of one. That's what they still represented, which all of our race used to represent. But because of the influence in Atlantis by these extraterrestrials, they started to go into disharmony in their beliefs. Now they became a sexist patriarchy. Now they started to put down the divine feminine. You see, that started off planet on Tara. Discrimination, racism. It came from fallen angelic races like the Syrian Anunnaki influence. Okay? And so they were, remember, you saw in a text, they were on the continent of Eden. But then they broke into two main cultures, Atlanteans and Lemurians, on Eden. And then, because there was hostility developing, the peaceful Lemurians left to another part of the planet of Tara on another continent called Mu. And which is a even more ancient culture than the angelic humans, but that's another story, right? But anyways, the Lemurians went to Mu. So we have Mu and we have Eden. But what didn't they call it? Alania? Yeah. Let me double check the Alania and Lumia. Alania and Lumia. So it's still Eden. And the cultures on Eden were Alania and Lumia. But the Lemurians moved off of Eden and into Mu, which became Lemuria, right? And notice the word Mu is in Lumu, L-E-M, Lemuria? Yeah, M-U is in the word Lemuria. So you could probably imagine that they found all kinds of ancient artifacts on that continent, right? But anyways, so they created this division, and still they started creating more. The Atlanteans created more animosity towards these guardians because they wanted full control of the grids and all that, without the guardians still on the planet. So they wanted to destroy the Lemurians, and so they created this technology, which was once upon a time used for good. Where they had all these free energy systems, anti-gravity systems. This is where you probably get a lot of rumors of Tartaria. But that was on Earth. This is still Tara. But anyways, similar things played out on Earth too. But this is what happened in Tara. They weaponized this technology that they knew from the Indigos. There is a priestcraft. Okay, there's angelic humans and there's a priestcraft of indigos. The indigos are the priests, the ones with the higher dimensional knowledge, memory, awareness, and connections. And so they were the ones helping, assisting, teaching the angelic humans. But that, as powerful as they were, they still got influenced by these density 2, higher density beings, the Syrian Anunnaki, influencing and taking over. They eventually took over that priestcraft. So obviously they're in control of religions now. Not sacred universal law of one. Now they're practicing worship and subservience when we're all meant to be equal. So they started creating, they had the priestcraft, they had the tech, and then they reversed it. Because that's what fallen angelics do. They have a reverse consciousness, reverse thinking. They, instead of life, living type of tech, they're going to use death, destructive, chaotic tech. And so they took the technology and used it to attack the Lemurians, which there's so many steps to talk about. I gotta rush it. But they basically attacked them and created cataclysm, and the book talks about, the Voyagers talks about how the part of the continents were just obliterated with this super advanced, powerful tech, so that there is no coming back from that. They literally fell, and pieces of the planet fell of Tara. And while it may sound like science fiction to some of you who don't know this, haven't read this or learned this, those parts of that planet fell into the lower density of density 1, dimension 3, and that created the fragments, the planets of our solar system. So all those planets are part of Tara. All those planets have life on them. It's not just about humans. It's about Venetians, Martians, Saturnians, Jupiterians, or whatever they're called. I don't know what they call them. You know, they all had races. They all have stargates, portals. They have life and civilization on all these planets, which are pieces of, and according to the Guardians, there's, you know, we have more. You say, well, if there's 12 pieces, why is there only 9 planets? There isn't only 9 planets. There was 12 planets. 2 of them were destroyed, and 1 of them is hidden. So we only have 9 instead of 12. So 1 is hidden. It's called Nibiru. The other 2 that were destroyed, that are missing now, Tiamat and Siren. It starts with a C. And I have a PDF that I can share with you guys so you can see it. Chiron, Siron, Chiron. How do you say, what's it called? The 12 planets, 12. I don't have it. Yeah, 12 planets. And I'll put it in chat for you guys. Yeah, some of you know. Spelled Chiron. I just gave you guys the link, and it shows you the 12 original planets, which all have universal stargates. No, galactic stargate. Sorry. The sun has the universal stargate. Our sun does. The others are GSG, which is galactic stargate. The sun is USG, universal stargate. But anyways, yeah. So the Cataclysm created these 12 pieces, which created our 12 planets. And then, but we're not talking about all the other civilizations and their dramas playing out. But some of them are way much more evolved than we became, like the Venusians or whatever. So, but it doesn't mean they're all good either. Like humans are not all humans are good. There are a lot of negative and dark humans. Just like there's probably that's what happened to Saturn. We hear a lot of dark stories about Saturn, unfortunately. So you know they had the similar problems that we are having. I'm sure they got influenced just like we're influenced, because the angelic human is under attack. They want us disempowered. They want us forgetting our history. Well, we're sharing the history. Somebody remembers. Somebody has the records in the CDT plates. Closure Door Terror plates. Translated into the Voyager's books. Translated into all these MCEO video workshops. And so, on our planet, we seeded humans, and in stages. Just like I was explaining before, we had to create these bodies, and we had to have these different cultures, including Polarian, Hyperborean, which were actually seeded on Gaia to create Strand 1. And then the Lemurians were seeded on Earth to create Strand 2. And then the Atlanteans were created to make Strand 3. You see? they once lived, and then the Atlanteans lived, and then now we're living, and now we're going to be into eventually the Mavarians, and then the Unchechi. So each one of us develop another strand of DNA, and each one of us are, it's kind of like a stage of developing of a super hybrid. So each level is going to have more consciousness, more consciousness, more consciousness, until you get the full consciousness of the angelic human. So we've done this 3 times on Earth. So the original time was the first time, and then we did it in human seeding 1, wiped out by the Anunnaki. Human seeding 2, it was the Anunnaki and the reptilians. They wiped us out. Now we're in human seeding 3, and we also have an Atlantis and Lemuria here. And let me show you an important diagram from Architects of Light workshop, and it shows you these 3 human seedings and their years, how long ago. But this diagram is only for human seeding 3, not the other. Well, it's gonna, never mind, it shows both, all 3. So let me bring that up. And I think Architects of Light is on my server. Okay, file. Let me see if I can just save as. Let me see if it's on my server, guys, because I would love to share it with you guys, right? Because I just shared the 12 planets diagram, and some of these diagrams I make better because some of them were blurry, and I can use AI to fix it, the blurriness, and make it lucid. Yes, I have it. I have it, you guys, and maybe someone already shared it. One of my moderators had already shared it, but. There's the Architects of Light. This is what I'm going to be reading from, but I'm going to share it with you on the screen. Oh my gosh, my camera just died. This stupid battery problem. Holy cow, guys. I'm going to have to fix this problem. I told you that my phone is not charging anymore like it should. Let me take you off of the camera. I can continue, but what the shit? Now it's starting back on. Why the Apple is connected but not connected, but connected but not connected? It doesn't make sense, right? So I will still show you what I can still show you on the screen. So we have Architects of Light, and there's a diagram here. Ancient stellar races. No, it's not that. Human seedings. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, the phone won't stay on. It's gonna keep turning off, and I don't know what's the deal. It's not. I don't know if it's the cable or my phone or something else. Anyways, what another problem to have, right? On top of other problems. Human seeding 3, what we're currently on. But you see, human seeding started 25 million years ago, and it ended with the Anunnaki killing us in the electric wars. But here is the races I told you, Polarians, and they did half a strand to create strand 1. So here's the different names of how they gave the Atlanteans, Lemurians. The human seeding 1, they were called Lumarians and Alanians. Human seeding 2, we were called Lemanians and Atlanteans. And human seeding 3, we're called Lemurians and Atlanteans. Even though Oceana spelled it with an I-A-N, most people spell it with an E-A-N, but just no, it's the same. So you see, this is 73,000 years ago, and then for the Lemurians, 70,000 for the Atlanteans, 65,000 years ago we started. Not Sumer a few thousand years ago, but 65,000 years ago, Atlantis and Lemuria. Ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, all that. So, and then there's future races. That it says future Earth Tara and then future Tara. So we're still here in the 5th race of the age of Aryan. Okay, started 65,000 years ago. Our star seed race is the Hebrews. Okay, so the star seeds have 7 through 12. They all have 7 through 12, and one strand that helps the Earth seed race. So that can be confusing, but just understand there's 3 human seedings. We're currently in human seeding 3. That started 800,000 years ago. That's a typo. It's 8,000 years ago. 800,000. And so, let me go back. What? Oh yeah, I don't have a camera. Shit, I can't go back. Okay. So you guys, I guess this can effectively help to end the live, but we're still dealing with this, with the fallen angelics trying to mess up our DNA and ascension process and awakening. They want us disempowered. They want to feed off of us. But I'm looking at chat now. So, are you guys still here? Right? I hope. Anybody? The stream is still going on. I just don't see anyone talking. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here in tonight's live. Much love, much respect to all of you. I do talk about this in more detail on my videos and my website. Thank you for those who made donations tonight. You made a big difference in my life. It's definitely needed more than ever after having a car accident. And so thank you to all my regulars. Thank you to my moderators tonight. Thank you to all of you who are a part of this Christic consciousness awakening. Let's stand in our power. I love all of you. Much blessings to you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you guys on Saturday. And you can guarantee we're going to have some interviews coming up. I don't know if it'll be this Saturday, but definitely by next Tuesday. All right, you guys. Peace. Namaste to all of you. Aho. Machiwa. Omni love, baby. What's up?